The Sunday Sequence Break.
Welcome, lady and gentlemen, just in case there's one, to the Sunday Sequence Break, episode 137. That is pork with cashew nuts at the Chinese place near me. In case you wanted a food to go with your number. I'm pretty sure we've exhausted all the mathematical facts. There aren't any more out there. But joining me...
We went through all
we went through all of them.
Right, every prime number we've done.
Yeah, all of them. I can't believe there were so many. I thought there wouldn't be this many. I thought it stopped at 7, but turns out they just...
136 was the last prime number.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. We have this week, as dutifully pointed out by PJ in our Skype chat, NES Soten. This week, Shadow of the Ninja. Joining me as usual, we have Mr. Feasel.
Hello.
We have Mrs. PJ.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hello.
We have
I'm jealous.
Professor Blechy.
Pleased to be here.
And myself, Colonel Flicky. That's right. I am thinking of the guy from KFC when I say Colonel.
And Ted Lance. Don't forget Ted Lance.
And Ted Lance. Is it Lance or Lange? I thought it was Lange with a G.
Oh,
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Ted Lange is here as your bartender. If you're feeling thirsty at any point during the show, just shout over to Ted and he'll mix you up something nice. Speaking of something nice, that'll do. That's good enough. Feasel, have you been doing anything nice this week?
No, all naughty. No nice, all naughty. Yeah, well, I played some stuff a little bit. I practiced a little bit of Wizards and Warriors so I wouldn't get too out of shape with it, but I decided I was going to try to learn Mega Man 2, or at least just see what that whole thing is all about. You know, I don't know that I'm going to be doing really, a lot of attempts of it, but I just wanted to be able to understand what all the tricks were and try my hand at the zips. And surprisingly, I can do almost all of the good stuff. There's a bunch of things that Elo does in his run that I can't copy, but I'd say 90% of the strats I can get eventually, if not actually, consistently. So it's fun to be able to, have a little bit more knowledge of that.
Would you say that's carryover from the NES race that got you into MM2, or would you have found this destination anyway?
I actually was always thinking I would like to do a Mega Man game, but I thought it might be Mega Man 3 just because that's the one that I played the most as a kid. But because I did do it in the 20 game race, Mega Man 2, I thought that would be a good one to start with because I already had. Yeah, I mean, for that race, I didn't learn any of I learned the really simple zips, and I learned some basic boss strats and things, but I didn't really try to, I didn't really try to do any of the cool stuff. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go through and actually look those things up. But yeah, that was part of my week. I also practiced Zelda 2 a little bit off stream. I wanted to I wanted to test out a few things in the low level run to see if I maybe wanted to run that some. I'm looking for a Zelda 2 category to do something with, and I think the low-level one might be a fun one to work on for a while. It's just got that terrible Thunderbird fight, really. Everything else about it is pretty doable, but yeah, getting Thunderbird the first time it's going to be a challenge.
Just pick a random level values and make that your category. At all 454%.
454. That would probably be harder to to come up with some random number and try to make your levels meet that exactly by the end.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. Pete. Oh wait, I was gonna try and do like a Snoop Dizzle, like an Izzle thing, but I realized if I did that with PJ's name,
Yeah, that's a terrible pick.
it's just not gonna work. So we're just gonna say PJ. What have you been up to?
At least you recognize it.
I did recognize it, and I'm maturing because I didn't just say it anyway, like I probably would have done before. So
well done.
I'll let the chat just figure that one out for themselves.
Yeah. So this week I've been playing a lot of Bionic Commando Rearmed 2 still, because I really wanted to get a video to go with the SGDQ submissions, and I had a few interesting runs, and then I just I couldn't get technology to cooperate for the past few days.
Wait, you?
Yeah,
That's
I know.
crazy.
It's hard to believe. So I had one run that was pretty good, and then Amarak crashed, so I lost that recording, and then the next day I had another good one, and when I opened up the menu, the entire console hard locked.
Hard locked. Nice.
Wow, cool.
Yeah, hard locked. I had to unplug the console because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't even access the Xbox home button thing. The whole thing was just frozen.
Nice.
But today I did one attempt. I was just whatever. I've got 2.5 hours before the show. I may as well just try it. And PB'd by 3 minutes. got a pretty great time. So yeah, that's encoding right now, and that's going to be the one that I submit for SGDQ.
Nice.
There's still a lot of time to come off, but I really just wanted an okay run that shows what the route is and doesn't have tons of mistakes and have me forgetting where to go and all that. Just wanted a representative video. And now that's gonna take a back seat, and I'm gonna get back to ActRaiser 2.
Yes.
Yep, I'm really excited to get back to it. I found so many new things that I'm just pumped to go. You
got my support.
Thank you.
Nice. So do we know when the SGDQ things close, the submissions? Is it 2 weeks from now?
Well, it's on April 2nd.
April 2nd, really?
Yeah.
That's a pretty good day, April 2nd, I heard.
Good one. It was
Why do
going to
you think
close
that?
on my birthday, and then they realized that was a bad idea,
So
so they
they-
switched it to
It's closing it on my birthday instead. How exciting.
Interesting.
Yeah. Alrighty. Hey, speaking of marathons and submissions closing and that, ESA submissions should have closed about an hour and something ago if they actually closed properly. But that's happened, and yes, everybody submitted their things last minute. I think we got about 20. I think we calculated 22% of the submissions came in the last 24 hours, which, considering that we had it open for about 6 weeks, is horrifying for me as the guy who was sitting here oh my god, there's not enough games, oh my god, what do I do? Then everyone was like, oh hey, that's today, is it cool, I'll submit now. So hey ho, that's out there, but that's done. Now I have to do the hard bit of making lots of enemies for at least the next few months by cutting
that's the
games.
easy part. You've had years of practice.
I've had years of practice.
Blechy, why'd you cut my game?
Well, it's just not that good. It's not 3D. It's not made by my preferred company. We'll be the
Right.
anti-GDQ. It's a
Bad
Nintendo.
game,
It's a
bad player.
2D Nintendo game. We just don't want it.
You don't have as many followers as this other guy, so you don't get that.
Right. That'll be a really good one. I might challenge people to dance-offs. You're not as good at
During future
dancing.
learn Future Cop and give it a second try, and maybe then.
You can do. You can submit again if you change this. What is this? Ocarina of Time. Rename that to Overboard, and you've got yourself a game. No, yeah. Anyway, that happened. So that's all hopefully wrapped up and good to go. ESA sign-ups open, but aside from that, I've been continuing my practice of lightning returns. I'm up to 9 new ways of failing, by the way, that weren't mentioned in the tutorial. So yeah, I'm doing a fantastic job. Today's one was I teleported to the wrong spot and used my last of a usable item on the wrong whirlwind. And when you destroy the whirlwind, the enemy is like there, and I was like, isn't he already there? And I was like, no, I'm pretty sure he spawns after the whirlwind disappears. Anyway, then the whirlwind disappeared and the enemy wasn't there, and I was like, oh, I messed up. But hey, that's no problem. Also, Bangura and I did more Dragon's Crown, and we actually started speedrunning it. I didn't submit it for the record section yet because we've done 3 runs, and I think it would be kind of not that accurate. We've done a fair bit of practice, but to say, to submit it as a world record after 3 runs doesn't sit well with me. But that's been lots of fun. It's been really fortunate that after the long preparation and setup, the run's actually really fun. It turns out running a 2D beat 'em up where a throw causes explosions that damage everything on the screen is fun. Who knew? But it is. It's amazing. Like, just throwing enemies at the ground, 25% for the enemy to explode when they touch the ground, which does a double shockwave and can deal, like, pretty much wipe out everything on screen. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. We were also really worried that it would turn out to be a joke at the when we were done setting up, but it's still some hard bosses, so that's okay. Anyway, also I won a mystery game and then I lost my mystery game, but it was a fun one. I did Bonesaw, which was a beat 'em up as well, platforming beat 'em up. Fun game, but I lost.
Platforming.
Was that your
3rd game? Yes, Blechy, I won a game. Don't be so surprised. I won a match.
He's there looking at the bracket, trying to figure out how you even got to the first round.
Which game did you win?
I won Drip on Amiga.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Was that a RoboSparkle submission?
Yeah. How did you know? Also, Blechy, I don't know how much influence you have in the mystery crew, but my game still hasn't been drawn, man. What's going on? It's outrageous.
Are you sure? 'Cause I think...
Oh, really?
Well, I don't know about a name specifically, but I think everyone had like a highlighted pick, but that they chose at the outset. But I'll figure it out.
Anyway,
Groundlessness.
Let's move on to more important things. In this case, you. What have you been up to?
So I haven't really been running anything recently. Once I do get into running something, it will probably be this very game we're about to talk about. But yeah, I haven't been too active in terms of speedrunning recently. I've been doing other stuff. I've been listening to my love of string quartets, which I haven't treated respectfully in some time. But yeah, not too much speedrunning stuff really, so nothing to report there.
It's alright to replace speedrunning with high culture. I think that's alright. I did think you said this berry game, and I was like, ooh, a berry game.
Yeah.
Lay it on me, I want to hear about it. And then, wait, he said very.
Bird week.
Jeez, I'm trying to think of a game with berries in it that play a prominent role other than just being food you eat. I don't know. Anyway, before we do Game of the Week, which will literally be right now, Bangura asked me to say hi to you and I forgot, so Bangura says hi, Blechy.
Hey, Bangura.
I guess he couldn't have said hi himself, but you know.
Yeah,
whatever.
I feel like we just said hi to each other maybe a matter of a few hours ago, but that's cool. I'll take it.
He wants to say hi again. I don't know. Anyway, let's roll into let's pause my music. And then go into Shadow the Ninja, which I'm going to press this button, and I'm going to hopefully press this one, and hopefully this is the filler video. And yeah, Blechy. So we would have had Charlie on. Charlie on's come down with fever, which happens when you get sick, I suppose.
Yeah.
I was waiting for something.
Yeah.
Conclusion of that sentence.
Well, I was gonna say when you get too cold, and I realized that didn't make sense, and I just couldn't. Let's just blame it on the eclipse. That was a total eclipse, pretty much, in like very north of Europe, and he lives in Sweden, which is quite north, so they'll blame that. Anyway, Blechy, tell us about it. I'm pretty sure this is the filler. Yeah, this is the old world record. Yeah, we're good. Blechy, Shadow the Ninja,
Yeah,
huh?
so Shadow the Ninja has quickly become one of my favorite NES speedruns, honestly. At first, when I very first saw it, I thought it was just kind of a generic platformer. But what really makes it really cool is you can see in the video here that as he's jumping along, he's doing these sword slashes in midair. And every sword slash, you can fit 2 during a jump. And every single sword slash basically speeds you up by between 4 and 8 frames. So you can, well, the one going up on the jump speeds you up 4 frames, and the one going down on the jump speeds you between 4 and 8. So you can gain up to 12 frames per jump, which really adds up pretty quickly.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, so the game becomes basically kind of like how quickly can you and how optimally can you fit in these sword slashes to speed up as quickly as possible, and it really becomes a lot of fun to try and do that. Yeah, so I mean, it was this game released by Natsume in 90, which is towards the end of the NES cycle, and yeah, I mean, it's just a really sweet ninja game.
Natsume, the makers of Harvest Moon.
That may be. Also makers of
Pocky and Rocky.
Pocky and Rocky.
And Pocky and Rocky as well. Dude, I'm based off those 3. That's really good 3 games to be known for.
Yeah, I think they also did Wild Guns, which is a sweet game.
Oh, really?
yeah.
Is that them or is
The
that
one?
Sunsoft?
I'm pretty sure it's Natsume.
Yeah.
The one, when people see Shadow the Ninja, the one they usually ask about is, was this released by the same people as Shatterhand? And the answer to that is yes, yeah.
Oh.
It looks very similar.
It
and
does.
It's the same composer, too.
That's it, Natsume's serious fun. I knew I was waiting to remember what that tagline was. Alrighty, so yeah, tell us a bit about it. It's is it well known actually? Because I didn't know about it, but then I don't know about a lot of NES games.
I remember, I'm pretty sure it was at the front of there are just a few games towards the end of the NES cycle, like this and Vice Project Doom and Power Blade, which I remember solely because I think they were on
Power
the
Blade's them
cover.
as well.
No, but they were on the cover of the Nintendo Power magazine, so that's what sticks out to me from from about them from way back when.
Right.
But I didn't really know much about this game until I actually picked it up for SGL, which we'll get into.
Ooh.
Yeah, so, but I mean, really what sticks out to me about the game is that sword slashing mechanic, but there's all kinds of things about it. You can see in the video right now that Charlian in his run had picked up bombs. There are 4 different weapons in the game. There's the sword you start out with, a hook you can pick up, shurikens, and bombs. The shurikens and bombs each have a certain amount of ammo. They're both very useful, but they have a certain amount of ammo, so you have to route that out accordingly.
Those are like actual weapons? I thought those were sub-weapons or something.
I think they replace your weapon.
Yeah,
don't
they replace them.
Yeah,
So
wow.
you can't even switch back and forth until you run out of ammo, basically.
Okay. Does it preserve your sword? I'm sorry, you're probably going to cover all of this. Does it preserve like your sword level if you get a bomb?
Right, so the way it works is if you basically you can pick up these in these item containers you're seeing, you can pick up these power-ups which power up but it's not like it's not a specific power-up icon. The way it works is if you currently have the sword and you pick up another sword power-up, then it will upgrade your sword to another level. But if you are at sword level 2 or 3 and you pick up the hook, it goes back to hook level 1, I think.
So does the hook just suck?
Yeah, the hook basically just sucks, because the crappy thing about it is we were mentioning that you can speed up your movement by doing these sword slashes in midair, but the hook has a way longer attack animation than the sword. So kind of if you try and do it in midair if you try and attack in midair using the hook, you'll wind up slowing yourself down because the kind of wind up or like the recoil, I guess, of the hook is so long that it just doesn't help. So it actually winds up sucking to get the hook.
I'm just thinking Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening hookshot right now when you say that it takes forever. I'm just thinking that.
Yeah, pretty similar. Yeah, because it stretches out all the way forward and all the way back, and you can't move again until it's all the way back. You can continue moving in midair, but still, like I said, I mean, the recoil of the hook basically slows you down in the end. So it's all about, I mean, there's very little luck in the game. All these pickups that you're seeing are all fixed. The enemy movement is all fixed. There's a couple very, very minor things of luck where, like, an enemy will sometimes do one thing instead of another. But overall, it's very, very, there's very little luck. And there's also very little in terms of auto-scroller. The only auto-scroller comes at the very end of the game, just before the final boss, and it lasts like a minute and a half or something. But I mean, if you're at that point, you know that you're going to finish the run anyway. So I don't mind something like that. Where usually I hate auto-scroller.
Yeah.
And I drop kick the game.
What you're saying is it's better than Ninja Gaiden, right?
I prefer it personally. But
I can't take sides, but I would be if I could siding with you. Let's put it that way. Okay, so there's no sort of 100% as far as I know. Would there be anything that could even constitute as that, or would it just be random, like buy everything in the shop, or?
There isn't even a shop.
Oh, it's not a shop. Oh, okay.
No, it would be. I don't know what it would be. It would be like open all the boxes or something like that.
It's pointless.
Yeah, I mean, you could do something like pacifist or low percent stuff, but I'm personally not into that, and I don't think Charlian really is either. No. So the game just hasn't seen that.
Charlian's all about going fast. I know that for a fact. So yeah, go. You gonna?
Yeah. So let's see. One big thing about the game is I'm a very poor masher. My mashing is like 8 hertz or something awful, which works out for me for this game because. This game, your sword attacks, you can only do one every 13 frames, so mashing doesn't really help you much. So it's more about rhythm mashing, and it can really make a big difference in terms of a couple of the bosses. Like, for example, the stage 1 boss basically he's only on the ground for so long before he flies up in the air and starts hovering around a little bit and then stays there until he comes back down. So you really want to be able to, time your attacks properly so that you can make sure you finish him before he flies up in the air. It's a really big deal for the final boss of the game as well because it's not quite as bad, but he'll jump in the air from side to side of the screen. And so a quick kill is considered to be able to finish him on a specific jump. And if you miss that jump, you lose a couple seconds from him jumping back to the other side of the screen. So I mean, really just mashing not only just kind of saves time from beating a boss quicker, period, but can help you to meet cycles with bosses.
You don't even get all your health back when you finish a stage?
No.
That's
you
cool.
only get 8 health back, which is actually a pretty big deal because another mechanic of the game is that if you hold B for long enough, you let off this charge attack. The charge attack does 7 damage to anything, and it also expends 8 of your 16 health.
Oh.
So health management becomes a pretty big deal in this game. There are pickups throughout which refill your health, but some of them are only partial refills, and plus it takes some time to refill. So you have to route that out pretty specifically.
That's actually used, that charge attack?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So the reason you use it, because the charge attack takes, I think, 4.25 seconds to begin the kind of charge animation, and then the animation itself takes another 2 seconds. So because
sounds like a long ass time.
Yeah, it really is a long ass time. So because it only does, I think, 7 damage to a boss or an enemy or whatever, and it takes so long to wind up, whereas normally you could do a lot more damage in that time. The requirements for it to come in handy are very specific. So, for example, the stage 1 boss, there's a period of time before he becomes vulnerable. So you can use that time to charge up, basically, and then kind of just time it so that the strike comes down the moment he becomes vulnerable. And that just does a lot of front load damage, which is really helpful. Another time, and so if you watch the screen right now, we're actually approaching the final boss now. So let's just talk about that a little bit. So you're gonna see that Charlian starts up his charge attack while the boss is still sort of loading.
This is your video, actually. This is you.
Oh, this is my video? Okay.
You couldn't recognize yourself. That's...
Gotcha. So what this very adept player you're watching is going to be doing is he's doing this charge attack, and so you'll see it as the lightning comes down the top of the screen, and the character will turn towards the screen and hold his sword up, and then so the important part about this final boss is basically timing your attacks, because now this is the one time in the game you want to use the hook, and it's a fully powered up hook. The way the powered up hook works is that it's got its normal little attack, and it's also, if you watch carefully, you can see this little projectile wave that comes out of it. It's hard to see with the frame rate, but it's there. And these two things have kind of alternating hitboxes, where first the hook attacks, and then the projectile follows through and attacks afterwards. And if you just mash, then they're going to start overlapping. Whereas if you time it properly, it'll just be like hook, projectile, hook, projectile, hook, projectile. And you can time it better in that sense. So you really got to time this correctly. It's about 3 times a second, whereas you could be attacking much faster than that if you actually mashed. And it's very important to listen for the audio cue while you're playing, because the projectile follow-up makes this distinct kind of laser sound noise, and you can tell kind of if you're mashing too quickly or too slowly, or if your positioning is a little bit off based on what it sounds like. But yeah, in my video here, I kind of get a slightly slower version of the quick kill, where ideally you would finish him just as he lands. In this version, I just finish him a little bit after he lands. But meanwhile, I mean, if he does another jump and jumps to the right side of the screen, you lose a couple seconds and it sucks. Yeah, this final boss, it's the kind of final boss for a game that I really like, because it's just like right after this really long auto-scroller that forces you to wait for all this time. And then it's just there's no luck to the boss, and it's just a really cool feeling and a very tense moment to finish up the run with him.
That sounds horrible. I like the kind of boss that just dies immediately at the end.
Yep.
Those are good too.
It's not even a boss like Sephiroth in Final Fantasy VII or something. That's the final boss in a run for me. I want to know that I'm done 30 minutes before the end of the run.
Yep.
Alright, well, this is Charlion's video, so spot the 3 seconds difference stream. If you can. Good luck.
We do a number of things differently. Just in 1.1 there, he did a very small improvement that he found that
we have a video for that, actually.
It mimics what the task does.
Yeah.
And we didn't think it was possible for a long time, but it's just like, it's this little jump over that hover robot, and or you can take damage as well, but it's just faster than what we used to do, which is grabbing the little the ceiling and hooking underneath him, because if you grab onto a ceiling and walk along, then it's slower than moving normally. So it's just it's a nice little time saver he found.
There you go.
Yeah.
You saw it progress there through the video.
Yeah. So do we want to go into like more specific tricks, I guess?
If you want to, yeah. Now's fine. If I've got a video for it, shout. If not, just tell me whereabouts in the video it is.
Yeah, so let's we'll just go through kind of these listed items that we listed in the doc.
All right.
So
oh my god, I forgot where the video. It's fine.
I can play anything you need. Oh god, wait.
It's because this video was originally at the bottom of the list, and I moved it to the top because I thought that would be a good idea if I moved it to the top. But then I forgot I moved it, and you know what it's like. Yeah.
So 2-1 is one of the hardest levels in the game. There are 3 levels I feel that are very hard and much harder than the rest of the game, which are 2-1, 4-1, and 5-1. But yeah, let's start with 2-1. This worm mini boss. The way it works is he comes up the right side of the screen and then takes a couple hits, then kind of retracts back into his little hole and moves to the left side of the screen. It should be, I think, 3 seconds in. It's a little earlier in that stage.
Oh, hang on, I'm out of 2-1. Let's see where we're going.
Yeah, it's just the very beginning of 2-1.
Oh, it's the beginning of 2-1. Okay.
So you get in these few hits. Yeah, this is good. You get in these few hits on the right side, then he goes left side, left side. And ideally, you 3-cycle him. But it can be very difficult to do just because his movement, it's not random, but can sometimes really feel random. And if you mistime a homing shuriken in the air, then it'll just hit his body instead of his weak point, and it'll just hit. He'll be invulnerable. You can see the difference between when it actually hits him and when it deflects off of him, and that's one thing. Honestly, the interesting about the competition between Charlie and myself is we have these very strong and weak points compared to each other. Like his beginning of the game is a lot stronger than mine. I consider 2-1 certainly to be one of the hardest levels in the game, both for this worm and because of the follow-up. But it feels to me like he nails it every time. Whereas the later parts of the game, specifically stages 4 and 5, I feel like I typically perform better than him.
How does is the homing shuriken, it just actually homes well, or is it kind of, do you have to throw it time-wise, or?
You have to time it properly, because depending on when you throw it, it can either kind of arc upwards or arc downwards, or it can aim for a certain enemy if there's more than one enemy on the screen, which is a big deal in 4-1, which we'll get to. So depending on when you time it, it can absolutely have a big difference in in the performance, and that comes into play big time for that worm fight.
Right, I got the post-worm stuff here now. There's a separate video for this, so...
Okay, yeah, so I consider this to be really difficult because a huge part of this game is damage boosts. But, I mean, obviously you can kind of see when you take damage that there's this brief period of vulnerability. So for these boomerang dudes, you want to time your jumps very carefully so that you take as little damage as possible, but when you do take damage, it boosts you in the correct direction. And meanwhile, on top of this, one thing we didn't talk about the power-ups is that if you are powered up at a level 1 or level 2 sword or whatever, then you can only take 4 hits before you get powered back down to the previous level. So so you have to be really careful in terms of how much damage you take. So that you don't get powered down too much.
These are some real weak damage boosts here in terms of the game, not in terms of you, but you really do not go very far.
Yeah.
You can see them here in the second half.
And we're really running this game down to the wire, honestly. The record right now is an 11-12, and we consider. I mean, I'd like to eventually go for an 11-10. But we're really kind of making this game pretty fine-tuned at this point, so every one of these damage boosts is a big deal.
Yeah.
So if we want to go to the second video, if you, this 3-1 pit warp, the way...
Wait, hang on.
Quote-unquote, yeah.
Let me find that. I don't have that. Should be on the thing, I guess, then. Let me check again. Keep going.
Sure. The way kind of death works in this game, in terms of like falling into a pit, is there is no instant death. There's only falling into a pit and losing 4 health, I think it is. But that can sometimes benefit you because as soon as you fall into a pit, you essentially immediately respawn. So depending on what level it is, you can fall into a pit. Sometimes you'll get set back a little bit, but sometimes the game will actually warp you forward a little bit. So the cases for those are pretty rare, but 3-1 is a good example of where you'd want to fall into a pit and kind of get warped forward slightly. You can see it that happened there. And you can see just how quickly you come back after a death, and that's how you'd want to perform that level. Unfortunately, there just aren't that many places for it. The TAS does it in 4.2, but health is such an issue in a real-time run that you just can't risk the health for that.
Yeah.
And 1.3 is really similar because you absolutely need the charge attack for the stage 1 boss. And if you fall into a pit, just losing that 4 health from falling into a pit can set you back on health and also set you back on your power-up, which is also really important to get the stage 1 quick kill.
Sorry, I figured out my stuff. I got the things. Don't worry.
Okay. then moving on to the next thing.
That's fine. I can move on to the next thing.
Okay. So just talking about...
Oh, I'm sorry.
So just talking about the 3-1 boss for a little bit. The idea behind this boss, he seems like an auto-scroller at first, but it's the kind of boss where it lasts so long that every single little thing adds up. So the way it works is basically once his last piece, you can see that once you attack him, his pieces fall off. Once his last piece falls off the screen, that's when he starts to respawn again. So the way you have to act with this boss is basically obviously starting your attack as quickly as possible, because he's not vulnerable immediately. He's vulnerable when his helmet attaches to his head. So you start timing your attacks immediately there. You time your attacks, your sword slashes as well as you can to get them to have no kind of filler space in between. And then after he gets knocked off, you position yourself correctly so that he's as close to the edge as possible. Because if you're not close to the edge, then his little pieces, which shatter, bounce along the ground a little bit, and you can lose some time before he respawns again.
Oh,
That's some real tiny optimization. Nice.
Yeah. So I mean, at first I thought this boss would be like a boring nightmare for the speedrun, and it kind of looks that way. But you can really lose, you can lose like half a second with a small mistake.
Is it hard to do, or is it just a case of concentrating?
Positioning yourself isn't that hard to do, but timing your attacks well is.
Right.
Because if you mistime it, you can kind of see as his like upper pants go up the screen.
Upper pants.
Yeah. If you mistime your attack, then you can accidentally get another attack in and kind of freeze his pants in place as if he took damage, but that prevents them from going off the screen. So that can be crappy.
Right, yeah, you don't want to slow your pants.
Yeah.
One of the cycles there, it looked like you broke his pants when they were flying off screen.
Yeah, you can do that too. That's if you do break his pants, that's only a little slower. But
You don't understand how funny these are as an English person. You just All right.
Wait, it's slower to do that? I thought
Just a
they'd be
little
off
bit.
screen then.
Yeah, you can break them so that they'd be off screen, but if you didn't hit them at all, they would have traveled off screen even faster.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So yeah, right now we're seeing 4-1, which is probably, to me, I think the hardest part of the game, honestly. There's a lot you can do to speed it up. Basically, for starters, I mean, the first part of 4-1 is a vertical section, which kind of in a speedrun is just harder than a horizontal section, just because you need to time your jumps and your your ascensions rather than just holding right. But then what really is a big deal is after that, this long stretch in 4-1, all these enemies appear one after the other, and every single shuriken that you're seeing right now is very, very deliberately timed, because this is exactly what we were talking about before in terms of if you mistime a shuriken, then it can go to the wrong guy, or it can go to just like off screen, or it can just hover, like circle around an enemy, or it can it can do all kinds of crappy things. And if too many if you miss killing a single enemy, the game will lag horribly in that section.
Yeah, we've seen some nice examples of Gemini Man style lag in this game already.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Miss the Gemini laser, just reset.
And you can lag it so badly that the first turret in the next section despawns. Like, that's when you know that a game is just lagging too much. When things start despawning. But yeah, and then every single one of these jumps between the turrets is extremely difficult as well.
Do the turrets hurt you if you touch the actual side of the turrets, or just the shots?
It's the little pink thing on top.
Right.
And the ceilings are so short that there's very little space to be able to jump over them without taking damage.
Right.
So all in all, I mean, the end of 4-1 is just very difficult. And a lot of fun too, because if you get these shurikens right, it just feels really satisfying.
It does. You can see where the game's trying to lag, and it's just not. You know, not that games normally try and lag, but it wants to lag, but you're just like stopping it.
Some games try and lag. They really just hate you.
So I assume the projectiles coming out of the turrets are on a fixed timer from when you enter the screen, basically.
From like the entire stage.
Oh, the entire stage.
Yeah. So yeah, depending on, I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly. So yeah, you have to perform pretty consistently to get the same turret behavior.
Yeah, that's a lot more work than having it screen triggered.
And if it's not, I'm sure that it's not like as they come onto screen. It's either the full 4-1 or like several screens before the turret actually spawns.
Wow.
Yeah, so you have to, approaching the turret, you really have to be on the ball.
Okay. Is that the same thing with all the other enemies that will shoot or slash? Is all the other enemy behavior that way too?
Most of them are when they come on screen.
Okay.
The vast majority. Here in 4.2, here in 4.2 is another one where they are definitely on a global timer when 4.2 begins. It's these little yellow kind of things circling, or not these square-shaped ones, but earlier in the stage, there are these circular ones, and you have to do the beginning of 4.2 well in order to meet certain cycles. Yeah, these circular kind of gears spinning around, those are on a global timer when you enter 4.2. So you actually have to wait right at that point for it to hit you, just because you can't sneak past it or else it'll push you back on the conveyor belt. But then starting that point, 4.2 just becomes ridiculous. And is where the only zip in the game, I believe, actually takes place. It was found pretty late in this game's routing, but we found that if you watch, it's just about to happen here. Basically what happens is you climb onto this little horizontal yellow platform, you go down, you kind of move over a little bit so that you're just under the like blue block there, so you're just under it, but still grappling onto the platform, and then you push up so that you're still grappling onto the platform, and the game's bringing you up as if you were on the platform, but you're pushed far to the right enough so that you actually grapple up onto the platform but are within the wall. So the game doesn't know what to do and just shoves you up even further until you're off screen and you walk along the ceiling of the level.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And that zip was found pretty late, but it's a pretty big time saver, and it saves us from having to do something really, really annoying. Like managing those platforms is typically really irritating, but the zip removes any need for that.
So you're not actually standing up there, you're being zipped along the top of it.
You get zipped straight up, and then you are walking around as if you were just on the floor. So you could just hang out up there forever.
Right. Huh.
Yeah, I wish there were more zips in the game, but not all ceilings work like that. Like even in 4.2 here, if you zipped in certain spaces, then the ceiling might work differently than what we just saw, and so you can't use it as you did in that other place.
I thought you used to use one other one to get.
I thought I saw another zip.
There's
just,
one.
like,
Let's.
Climb up.
Was that just in your video and it's not used anymore?
Let me think through.
I swear I saw one in 4.2. I'm going hunting for it.
Yeah, it didn't go off the top of the screen. It just went into a little cove.
Whoa, it's the Shatterhand guy.
It's right underneath. Yeah, you're right. It's a much smaller time saver, but that is in the same vein.
It's here, right? Yeah, see,
right
I saw it. I knew I saw one.
Yeah, you're the Shadow the Ninja expert. I'll admit it.
But that's what I was waiting for. That's why I kept missing, like, the...
Yeah.
If you watched it the first time, you explained the zip and I was like, isn't it still coming up? I was like, there you go. It's, yeah, there you go.
Huh.
So there are two. There's two.
Yeah, there are two.
How come you
And
don't do
there's
that one anymore, or does...
Yeah, we both do that one
All right.
at the end of 4.2. Yeah.
Okay.
I just slipped my mind.
Nah, that's all right.
There is also there is also one in 5.1. We'll get to that, I guess, actually. But yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. There's one in 5.1 that's at this point for where the RTA isn't really realistic. If it got super competitive, I could see people doing it, but it's very difficult. But we'll get into that shortly.
Right.
So this stage 4 boss is one of the most important parts of the run, and is absolutely a run killer if you get it wrong. The way it works, basically, the boss has two phases. There's this human phase, which is trivial, and basically you just do a charge attack and he's dead at the end. But then the eagle part of the second phase is a lot more difficult, because you have these the small amount of bombs you need to use Charlie and I do very different strats for this boss. Basically, you need to time your bombs very carefully so that you can finish him before he goes up into the sky. Because once he goes up there, you lose 5 seconds before he comes back down.
Oh, he kills him with a bomb when he's trying to fly up.
Right.
Yep,
Is that
yep,
just
Instead of
because?
the sword swing.
Yeah. Is that like a backup strat there, or was he intending to?
He opts to do that. He and I do different things. You can use a bomb there, and it's a little easier, but it means that you have to not be able to. I believe it means you can't jump over a certain ninja, or the jump over a ninja at the end of 4-1 is a lot harder. So it becomes kind of a toss-up of, do you want to make that jump at the end of 4-1 harder, or 4-2, this jump at the end of 4-2 harder, or do you want to make the boss harder? So it's kind of a toss-up in terms of which you want to do. And
Toss up, nice one.
yeah, toss up like a bomb, like you toss up a bomb.
Nice one, dude.
So yeah, it's a toss-up there, and this boss can really destroy your run in a matter of moments, because you lose 5 seconds, and that is just too much.
I don't remember this attack from 8 Eyes. Can you do the fusion dance with the bird?
Dude, that bird sprite does look very familiar. I feel like I've seen it in 1,000 other NES games. It's
Well,
very-
yeah, that's the guy from Shatterhand who teamed up with the bird from 8 Eyes. And this
Yeah.
So, quick little tangent here. I was watching Infestarisha play a ROM hack of this game where it replaces like 20% of, not even 20%, like 10% of the sprites in the game with Batman sprites. It's basically a Batman ROM hack of Shadow of the Ninja, and
Wow.
but it replaced every single boss. And so as he was approaching that stage 4 boss, I was thinking, like, what is it possibly going to be? Like, what has an eagle, or what could it be? It turns out that the boss was Two-Face, and he just throws the coin in the air, and the coin just goes from the side to side of the screen, just like flapping, like flying around like a bird, just like
Nice.
going back and forth. It makes no sense.
Wow.
So-
Yeah.
Something in a similar vein I heard this week is a friend of mine in Street Fighter tried to edit T-Hawk's eagle that flies onto his arm at the end of matches into a smaller T-Hawk that flies in and lands on his arm. But he couldn't quite figure out how to do it. Just reminded of that, thinking of birds flying to people.
Yeah.
Just
Nice.
alright. Hey, yeah, now we're on to the next bit, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, this is a task clip. One moment.
Yeah, so let's bring up the task.
Yeah, let's bring up the
Oh,
task.
sorry, this should be 5-1, not 5-2. So yeah, the task does a certain amount of things fast. The task is like a couple minutes faster than us, mostly through movement optimizations, but also just by speeding forward by it can kind of speed 4-2 up a lot simply by going faster than a human can and meeting certain cycles, and a human just cannot do it because it's the kind of thing where the task just gets to the edge of the screen. But the other thing the task does,
Whoa.
and that a human can, is this little zip. It saves only 2 seconds, but it's a big deal, and it's really hard to do, because the way it works is basically, it's like the same zip we saw in 4-2, where you kind of try and clip yourself into a wall and grapple up. But the difficulty here that wasn't there in 4-2 is that you have a 2-frame window in order to jump to position yourself within the wall, and then once you are in the wall, you have a 1-frame window to push up before it pushes you out of the wall. So it's this 2-frame window into a 1-frame window, and if you miss it, these lasers that you see hit you and can set you back even further. You basically have realistically only one chance at it, especially since it only saves 2 seconds. So, I mean, so that's kind of the reason why I think that, like, if the game was just ultra competitive, then yeah, it would be a necessity. But for right now, the game is difficult enough that that it's just not really necessary to get a really good run. Like, there's way more than 2 seconds of like plus or minus time that you could lose or gain.
Just wanted to see
outside
what
of
that did for the bird boss. Just so. There you go. That's pretty swish though. Like, I was not expecting it.
Pretty swish.
So do you not say that's an Americanism? Do you guys not say swish?
Not in the last century.
It's from basketball. You guys invented that sport, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we don't
You
quite use
You
it that
don't
way.
say
We use it
it's
as a
pretty
noun.
swish.
Noun only.
Really?
Now I
Maybe
will.
that is just an English thing then. Who knows? I'm so glad that I can still bring out these new slag things for you that you've not heard after all these years.
Yeah, I can't wait to be the most hip guy at the office.
Yeah, that was pretty swish. Whoa, my god. Whoa, what did that guy just say? Did that guy say swish? That's amazing.
Does he work here?
I think I might use it for like an ice cream if it's disgusting and melted or something. That's like,
It's swish? No, swish is a
Yeah.
positive thing. It's when you nail
I
something.
don't know. Now that I have that
No,
context,
that's
I can see it
swish.
being a terrible thing.
No, it's not. It's when you nail something, when you get something perfect. When you do something perfectly, like in basketball, when you get a swish and it doesn't touch the rim at all.
could you have a swish?
You could, if it was particularly swish, yes. Alright,
Particularly swish.
well, yeah.
You drink Swish Mish hot cocoa?
Swish mish? Is that meant to be Swiss miss?
Of course not.
I don't know what Swiss miss is, so I'm just
Completely
guessing.
unrelated to that.
Alright, now, speaking of final boss, whatever, dude.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about the final boss.
Right. I feel like
so
this
we already talked about
timestamp
final
might be
boss.
slightly off,
The only
because that's the
The only other
credits.
thing, those are the main like cool things about the run. There's also just these funny little minor things you can do. Like we talked about that charge attack. If after the charge attack ends, you push jump on the one frame immediately after it ends, you can do a double jump, which wouldn't normally be possible. So unfortunately, because that charge attack takes like 6.25 seconds just to happen, it's just not worth it. But you can get to some weird out of bounds areas that are pretty cool. Like you can get to other ceilings and stuff, or just using zips, especially in Fort 2, you can get into out of bounds areas, which unfortunately do not help at all, but are just kind of a fun place to get to. So stuff like that. Next I wanted to look at the TSSB Fort 2, because that really is where it gains a lot of time over the run. And it's just insane how quickly it goes that just a human could not possibly do. Yeah, because there are all these cycles towards the end of Fort 2 where these elevator cycles where you just have to meet them. And we kind of have adapted it in such a way that it's good that it's possible real time, but there are just so many things that a task does. So it's the beginning of this stage, Blechy, this dark blue stage.
The beginning of it, okay.
Yeah.
I forgot
And it's just
already.
like the entirety of it, like from the very first little jump over a gear, like that jump isn't possible in real time, realistically, yeah, because you just need to time it all correctly. Every single element of the jump you need to time exactly correctly. Like this jump over the gear, no, it's ridiculous. And so starting right after that, basically, the task is just able to meet these gear cycles and just stay in the air long enough so that the screen doesn't scroll down to follow him. Follow it up with this zip, which is the same exact kind of 2-frame into 1-frame frame window we were talking about before. And from that point on, he's just staying on the far right of the screen, falling off of the screen so that he warps up like we kind of did in 3-1, making 2 more of those jumps that we saw before, those frame perfect jumps, which are themselves comprised of frame perfect things, just one after the other, and a real-time person just could not do that. And just a huge amount of time is saved from a real-time run, from every single element of what the task does here, from its off-screen deaths to its just general performance to its jumps that aren't possible in real time. It's just insane to watch, and it's the kind of thing that kills you to know that no matter what you do, you'll never be able to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty smooth, I would say.
I'm just watching it all right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, this task is ridiculous.
I like this jump.
And the
Yeah.
crazy thing is,
Yeah.
it's 2007 TAS, and it's really
wow.
good for how early that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a 9:48, and which I think
9:48.
9:48, where a real-time run is 11:12, and it's so frustrating because it's just like, please, can we just get a little closer?
Yeah.
but it's just the kind of run where a task can just optimize in so many ways that you just can't.
What happens if you do that zip right before the elevator? Do you skip the elevator section, or do you just like go to the top of the screen?
Which elevator?
That very long elevator that is like a cutscene right before Bird Boss.
Oh no, you can't. Yeah, because it is a cutscene. It freezes you, and you. I think that there's a place where you can grab onto, but you do go up to the ceiling, and when you go to the right, I think it just doesn't like you're blocked by a wall or something like that. I definitely tried it. I think you're blocked by a wall and just can't progress further right.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, that was like a big time wish list. Like that's the kind of thing where you see it and just kind of think like, come on, please have this be a thing.
Yeah,
but it's not.
Yeah, let's replace this auto-scrolling cutscene elevator with a zip instead, the fastest form of movement.
Yeah.
Alright, I realise now, and I probably should have realised this when you mentioned it at the beginning, that history's normally at the start, but history's down here now.
Yeah, I moved it.
It's alright.
I took it upon myself to move it. I hope that's fine.
No, don't worry about it. We'll just never have you on the show again. Alright, do you want to do...
This guy thinking he knows our layout better than we do.
Do you want to do history now? I wouldn't actually put it past one of our viewers, guests to reroute our show for us. Do you want to do this now? I'm going to leave the task on you because I'm pretty interested in it now. So
So do we want to do it now as opposed to before then?
Yeah, I mean...
Right. As opposed to in the past.
History is after everything else is done, I guess, so you can argue that.
So this is this game had a really early run by Liger of Fortune back in 2008. That was a 1237. That is just the kind of run that just stood for a really long time because it didn't see much attention. But then both Charlie and I got into it separately but simultaneously. Charlie just kind of, I guess, found it on his own. But I actually had this game for SGL, which is another TSSB, stream.
Production. I was hoping you'd say production. That sounded good.
That's a much better word.
Yeah.
So I picked it up for SGL, and the game is small enough that I had learned like 5 minutes of the 11.5-minute run or like just barely over 11-minute run, and so I was just happy to kind of learn the rest of it and just do a few runs of it. So Charlie and beat Liger's 1237 with a 1234, and then that's when he and I started to get competitive about it and share strats and see what we could do with one another. I soon after got an 1138, bumping it down by about a minute. And then from there, we just kind of bounced back and forth a ton. Like it's been traded a bunch. I believe the path goes, I got a 1138, then it went, he got 1134, I got an 1130, and then an 1123, 1122, 1115, and now it's finally at 1112. So we traded it back a ton of times, just kind of driving each other on to outdo the other one. It's really been a really friendly and fun rivalry that's been really cool. And I'm like, it's the kind of thing where, whenever we find something new, we're so excited to show it to the other one. So it's just been really fun to just kind of compete with Charlie. And he has it right now with an 11-12, but I absolutely think the game can go below 11-10. And I intend on pushing it to that. I don't think it'll be within the next couple months, but sometime this year. A couple of other runners of the game. There have been a few people that just kind of got times in the 13-minute range, like Kazakh's Master 88 and Primal 85 all have times around 13-minute range. But they never really wanted to push it for the record. So hopefully, though, we can get the game even more attention, because it's a really, really cool game. I mean, it's not often that you get a game with like the mechanic where you can just constantly speed yourself up a la this sword dashing, and also has very little luck and very little auto-scrolling. So I mean, I really just have taken such a liking to this game.
Would you say it's hard to sort of do deathless or anything like that? Like if someone was thinking, hey, they want to pick it up but they don't want to be too taxed, like obviously it's going to be difficult to go really fast, but as a sort of casual venture, would it be too difficult? Do you think is it quite
Not really.
straightforward?
I think it's really easy to pick up, honestly, because the optimizing it becomes exceedingly difficult because these sword slashes make up for such a big deal in the end. But if you fall into a pit or something like that, then like I was saying, I mean, you don't die. You like the run isn't over. You just get set back a little bit. And there are enough backups throughout the run in terms of power-ups, be it health, weapons, or ammo, that you can just kind of get to know those power-ups. And as long as you kind of have backups in mind, then you can always catch yourself if you make mistakes. And it shouldn't account for... It's rare to have a mistake in this game account for more than several seconds, but the problem is that there's so much optimization to be had throughout that those can easily add up. But it's not the kind of thing where like you're just so frustrated because you can't get so and so trick that stops you from doing something. Like even that 4-3 boss, that bird boss, only loses you 5 seconds. So yeah, that's a run ender, but it's not a damn this game is frustrating run ender.
Yeah.
It's not like a frame perfect
2
minute skip or a 2 minute zip in the middle of the run.
Yeah.
Like learning a Sonic game.
Alrighty, we have the 3 steps program. A lot easier than quitting alcoholism. So it's 1/4 the steps. But if you're still thinking of carrying on drinking, which, that's up to you, but you want to instead do something with 1/4 of the steps, why not learn Shadow the Ninja, right?
Really.
If I've ever.
Yeah, right? Easier than alcoholism. Easier than quitting alcohol. So, hey, why not? Blechy, tell them about it. Tell them about
So I really feel like you can just start in with Charlene's record, believe it or not, and just mess up where you need to. But I mean, it's going to depend on your mentality and your approach to speedrunning in general. But I always feel like you should really try and go for the all-out strats in the beginning and just kind of modify if you start to get really frustrated at something. But I think that this game is doable enough that if you do follow the record and try and do what the record does, then I don't think that's too impossible. I mean, the potentially frustrating parts that you shouldn't work yourself up over if you mess them up, and you will mess them up as you get into learning the game, include 1-3, which is very, very cycle based. If you miss a cycle, you'll lose several seconds. So as you're learning the game, I mean, if you just can't get a handle on 1-3, then don't stress over it and just kind of lose yourself a cycle, lose yourself those several seconds, and just get on with it and return to 1-3. Because 1-3 in learning the game, it can be really, really frustrating because it's so early in the game and it's pretty difficult, honestly. I mean, other sections like that where you can just easily get frustrated over them include 2-1, 4-1, and 5-1. Those are all just very, very hard stages overall. So, I mean, you just really shouldn't get worked up if you can't immediately play it like Charlene and I do, because those are really hard stages, and it'll just take time to get used to it. Like the shuriken placement in 4-1, which we were talking about before, to help out with lag management, you just have to try and mimic the video, but I mean, in learning it, you are just going to mess up these shurikens. So you just have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with the ungodly lag which follows, and just try and learn from your mistakes and improve.
All right, number 2 then is very fitting for that one.
Yeah, so I mean, and then once you do feel comfortable, maybe you have a time in the low 13-minute range. I start identifying where you are having difficulty, because I'm pretty positive it'll be one of those sections I just went over, or maybe the final boss. So it's really just about kind of identifying those problem areas and trying to improve on them, and just kind of really trying to make use of every single frame saver that you can, because ultimately this game comes down to constant frame savers, just all over. There are only a few things which can slow you down by more than a few seconds. It's all about just proper movement optimization, proper sword slashes, proper health management and damage boosts therein. So it's really about those kinds of things.
I just have to say, this auto-scroll section is full of hilarious things. This guy spamming
Oh my god,
low sword stab down there. Look at these guys spamming it. The guy throwing spears all over the place. The dude's just standing looking at him. Yeah.
Yep.
Like these sword guys are so far away from their target that it's ludicrous. Like, what are they thinking?
We need a gif of that, PJ.
Yeah.
Why are you looking at me? I don't have it.
Go look
Or
for
any
it.
means of making it.
No, I didn't mean to make it. I'm sure someone's made it online already. All right.
They are just asking, please enter my sword hitbox because I can't reach you.
Yeah.
It's like I'm just picturing a guy at the end of like a fighting game round. The opponent's got like 1 HP left, and he's like that.
Yeah.
Just go out. All right, and then final one, number 3 on our list.
Yeah. So then it's just the very, very small nuances. Like, whenever you open up an item and collect it, you have a couple seconds of item invulnerability. So you really just have to kind of identify and make use of these very, very small nuances, which can make a big deal, like that. Or certain jumps in 1-2 can be very difficult. The final section of 5-1 is honestly one of the hardest parts in the game because it's just kind of this series of girders, and you just have to jump over enemies very accurately in order to not go plummeting into the pits below. So it's really just kind of getting used to these hard areas and saving them for last if you have to, and then identifying them before it's too late so that you don't just like sink into this mentality of being okay with bad strategies, but instead returning to them and improving on them. I mean, I've kind of just like used this time to talk about how I would approach speedrunning this game, I guess, and that's how I'd suggest
I have to
it.
say, this is very good all-round advice if you're thinking of
Yes.
running. This is pretty much exactly what I would advise anyone in many games to do, so it's very sound. I would take it. I'm biased because it sounds like what I would say, but
Okay.
yeah.
Is there any difference between the male and the female ninjas? I don't know if you talked about this.
I'm almost positive that's not. A couple, I know Kha'Zix feels that there is, and it does really feel like there is because the animation is different. Like the way that the two characters swing their sword are different from one another. But I'm pretty sure that the hitbox is the same, but I'd need to look at a hitbox thing to be sure. But I mean, when I play as the girl, I screw up constantly just because the look of the sword is so different. And also because my visual cues for jumping are usually based on where the feet positioning are of the character, and that's a little different between them as well.
I'm getting a real Apescape 3 vibe here. There's no one who plays the female exclusively and claims she's better.
Are there differences or no?
I don't know. In Apescape 3, it's
Yeah,
debatable. There sort of are,
like
but
that.
there sort of aren't.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Depends who you ask.
The other thing I wanted to talk about as far as this game goes is the 3 different versions, which you're staring at the boxes of now.
Right.
So the US version is Shadow of the Ninja, the Japanese version is Kage, and the European version is Blue Shadow.
Do you mean
Now,
Cage? I think you mean Cage.
Cage, yeah. Blue Shadow is just kind of this really, really bad version of the other two, where they kind of tried to adapt it. But there are all these inconsistencies in how the game works. Like, I was reading the task notes about it a little bit. The physics just feel wonky. It's like, in the PAL version, being Blue Shadow, you slash a bit faster, but you run slower. So there's just these odd mismatches of how the physics work, and they just make it, I feel, a lot more awkward to play than either of the other versions. And then you get between the US and Japanese versions. And the big difference here is honestly that with the US version, this is the worst part of the game. The US version, it goes to this title screen, but you can't press start yet. And then it goes to like this cutscene, and then you can press start. But like it shows you this title screen at the beginning and doesn't let you begin the game yet. It's really annoying. And so every reset of the game takes like 10-15 seconds to just do a reset. Whereas the Japanese version, when that initial title screen loads up, you can just press start and begin the game. So it's mostly about faster resets. There are also a couple very, very minor enemy placements, but they're only like their frames different from one another, and some of the US versions are faster, some are slower, and so they basically balance out. So making it overall that the Japanese version is basically just better to do runs with, simply because though you can get faster resets out of them. And I think it's cheaper too, which is always a plus.
Nice. Just one quick question, Blechy. Is this fish guy that PJ is actually in the game?
Hey. Don't worry about that, alright?
I just want to know, like, I'm looking at some of the sprites and he looks out of place, but I'm looking at the boss there and he looks like he kind of might fit in, but I don't remember seeing any fish or water.
I'm
saw fish.
definitely
Did we?
not from
All right.
Castlevania.
Well, there's this sewer level, and I think I read like on a GameFAQs thing in like 2001 that if you wait on that water level for 5 hours, a fish eventually jumps out.
Oh.
But yeah, but
You have
I've
to
never
bonk
tested
your
it
head
myself.
255
Yeah.
times. Though.
Nice. Alrighty.
That's my guess.
I just see the fish and I'm trying to convince myself that it could be in the game because of the boss sprite looks kind of similarly focused.
Don't worry about it.
Alright, now, are we get to move into records, Blechy?
Yeah, so that's pretty much what I have
Yeah.
to say about the game. It's a really cool game, and I mean, if it sounds neat to you, just give it a shot, because it's pretty easy to get into, and you do, on top of that, on top of a pretty reasonable health bar, you have 5 lives to use throughout the game that do set you back pretty far, but it's not too bad to get into. So give it a shot if it looks fun to you, because it's a pretty short game, feels really fun to get to do quick runs of, and I just highly recommend it.
Nice. Alrighty. You already know the deal with records, don't you? I don't need
I do.
Don't need to tell you. So there we go. We're gonna do our records as we usually do. I'm gonna hit the split before I get moaned at, and I'm gonna switch to world record image on the right page before I get moaned at. And it's the usual deal. I accidentally put 1 in the box of this game. I didn't realize. I'm gonna undo that. There we go. Everything's working on the stream. Off stream, no. And hey, it's records. These are records you guys submitted, or some of you guys submitted in the week. This is if you go to our website tssbreak.com, there'll be a submit a run thing there. All the info's on there. Fill it out. It comes to us. We make a highlight, or well, you tell us about timestamps, or make your own highlight. That's the best part, if you make your own. And we throw it up here, and we tell the world, or the piece of the world that is clever enough to watch our show. So the dedicated, the Platos of our time, the Aristotles of the 21st century are all here. Now, just because I know I'm never going to outdo my Animal Crossing introduction from last week, I'm not even going to bother trying anymore. So we're going to just go into Animal Crossing. We're going to give this one to Fiesel. And,
Of course we are.
Of course we are, because you know, why not? And let's roll.
Sure. He says, while going... Oh, wait, no. I should actually read the whole thing first.
Yeah.
This is... Golden Net is the category. 4828 is the time. Frost Ride is the... Force Ride, I'm sorry, is the runner.
You're not doing too well, are you?
I'm doing great. Doing excellent, yes.
Well, ever since he heard That's So Swish, he's questioning the English language.
I'm reading everything right to left.
Dude, I've learned so many things that would make you question it. Do you know that in the word oink is actually an O-I-N-G-K sound?
Wait, what?
Yeah,
Wink.
oink. There's actually a G in there that you don't write. But pronunciation-wise, it's in there.
That's true of 90% of English.
There's an extra G hidden in there.
Yeah, of course.
But anyway, that one blew my mind that the G was hidden in there. Anyway, carrying on. Fiesel.
Yes, carrying on. So the comment is, while going for a sub 55 run, I managed to go even further and got a sub 50. My previous time was 58:16, so I PB'd nearly 10 minutes. For those unfamiliar with this run, Golden Net consists of catching all the bugs in the game to receive the Golden Net from Tortimer, the mayor of the town. I had an absolutely insane run with ridiculous RNG. Pretty much everything was perfect except for 1 or 2 bugs that took a while to spawn. There you go.
It wasn't what I was
Search for
expecting when he
bugs.
said 1 or 2 bugs, so I was like, oh, wait, it took a while to spawn? What? Anyway, I just like the way that you said it's the Golden Net category, and for getting all the bugs you get the Golden Net. I don't know why I first thought I was like, oh yeah, we got it. Alright, we got Banjo Tooie. The highlight for this was 10 seconds long, so I took the liberty of adding in a bit of before that. This is Banjo-Tooie, any percent in 4405 by PG, who merely says detonation levitation. Thanks, Chronicies. And that's what you're going to see here. This is you being transformed into the, I guess, the detonator, bouncing around, and you will see very soon that you sort of fly a bit. Which, you know, kind of expected.
Kind of expected.
Yeah, I mean, from a Banjo game, right?
Yeah.
This very... I remember flying around in this game as a kid. There it is.
Oh, off he goes.
Yep. And then there's a bit more of him bouncing around, just because I blew my mind when I remember that they actually put this model in the game and showed it
That
to
is
you
amazing.
again. Yeah. It's just weird when you think about it. They turned him into a detonator, like, of all the things.
Yeah. Yeah, this game has some really good transformations. Like, the first one had some that you would expect, but this is like washing machine, armored money van. It's one of the other ones.
Nice.
The detonator, a bumblebee. There's some great ones.
Alrighty.
Yeah, PG is a monster at Tooie.
Yeah, he's
like, all of his categories are ridiculously well.
pretty damn good at
optimized.
Tooie. Alrighty, PJ, we're gonna give you this one. Blood Rain
Okay.
Betrayal. You know.
Alright, this is Blood Rain Betrayal for PC, not PAL. Any percent New Game Plus, 102.17 by Thon. He says, finally a deathless run. Can easily improve a lot of part, but still an improvement of a little less than 2 minutes on his other PP.
Whenever I see this, I kind of want to give it another shot. I thought it was pretty cool,
Still
but
look good.
I remember it being just slightly unresponsive in terms of the movement that bugged me, but I kind of want to give it another go. It's pretty sweet looking, like a combat-based 2D. He's been playing a fair few games like this recently. She's shooting a giant laser at him right now, and he's bullet helling everywhere. Wow.
I thought that sword was just coming out of the side of the screen, like.
Yeah, me too. It's like, that's a strange attack.
Anyway, I believe this is the... Is this the last boss, or is it the one of the other bosses in it? But it's a hard boss in there.
I think this.
Oh, that
is
was the
fairly
middle
early
one.
on.
Yeah, there
actually.
we go. We got the bird bouncing, as you might recall from before. And this is when we were trying to convince you this isn't a Castlevania game.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like Dust
yeah.
Force
It's
type.
Dust Force, yeah.
Wow. Hey, we should do a Dust Force episode.
We should do that.
So, that's the part you used to convince it wasn't a Castlevania
Yeah,
game
last
immediately
week.
after he turns into a bat.
Yeah,
Right, well,
he's jumping
it's a
through,
flash, so
spinning gears, bouncing off
So it's
birds,
Super
flying
Metroid.
further,
Yeah.
and then turning into a bat. We're pretty convinced that that would convince everyone that it wasn't. This is the final boss. There you go. If you didn't guess, giant demon. Is someone tapping a lot?
No,
No?
You sure?
No.
I'm most certainly
Oh,
not
that's
playing
gonna be
Shadow of the
from-
Ninja.
Yeah,
I am definitely not using an old-fashioned typewriter.
that would be the video because it's game audio and he's mashing.
Ah, that's what it is.
That's what it is. I was trying to figure out. I was like, is someone just clicking a pen in the background? Like, just... Alrighty. Yeah, good job, Than. I think I might try it out. I'm sure I could find it for very cheap online somewhere.
Do we know what New Game Plus allows for?
I guess all transformations and more health, weapons and so on. I imagine the big laser thing. This laser
It lets him beat the game
is
faster.
probably in New Game Plus only.
Cool.
Hey, Blechy, we'll just go through. We'll just cycle through all of us, I think, today. Let's not do anything interesting. Let's roll. So we got Doom stuff now.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Cyber Demon 531's been playing Doom, it seems. He started with an episode 2, The Shores of Hell run. He got a 102.43. His comments are an extremely difficult Tyson run. I almost got smashed by the Cyber Demon at the end because I'm freaking garbage, but I managed to survive. It's cool.
There's another one you can go read as well.
So this one, that was for episode 2. Now episode 3, Inferno UV Tyson. That's a 5758. His comments on this one are very difficult, but not as much as episode 2. Mount Erebus was the hardest map I've ever done in a Tyson scenario. So much BS going on there. Overall, this didn't take too long. Beats previous world record by over 50 minutes because that guy was trash. So there you have it.
50 minutes? 5-0.
Yep.
Nice.
Wow, okay.
Big improvement.
I mean,
Well, yeah,
normally I would say you should be a bit more polite, but when it's 50 minutes, I kind of feel like, okay, maybe you just this once.
Cool.
The
And
stage of the game with that cyber demon running around really sticks out to me. It's a very key part of the game in my mind for whatever reason.
sure.
Yeah, it's the classic. So, to reiterate Tyson from before, you can only use pistol, chainsaw,
Pistol or worse.
bare fists, or the power fist, was it called?
Yeah, the whatever you call it, the berserk
Oh,
fist or
okay.
something.
Berserker fist, something like
Yeah.
that. There you go. And here's him punching pinkies in the face.
Yep, because you can actually do more damage if you have some speed as you approach. You punch a lot of forward speed, and
Just like real life. Really?
well, it's sort of. Yeah.
Well, it is.
Wait,
I mean,
is
if I
that-
was running at you and I punch you, I think it would hurt more.
Yeah, but sometimes with those imps, you'll see them. They'll just like turn to mush, and that's because he got just the perfect timing on the running and punching, and did enough damage to overkill them.
Is that true, or are you lying?
No, you actually do more damage if you
That's
if you
cool.
run
I
up
didn't
and
know
punch
that.
before you bump into the enemy. If you connect with the fist, you do more damage.
Really?
So that's why he keeps backing
That's
up
right.
and going forward and to run into him.
Are you sure he's not just trying to avoid damage? Oh.
Well, that also helps in that regard.
Hey, let's immediately move into the next one, Festus Quest, because I didn't
Alright,
choose a
sounds
video.
good.
Something might be wrong with this video. Yeah,
Oh, is it? I'll re-upload it for you.
it's a
and we can
black
come back to it.
screen. That's all right. We'll come back to it. This is
Yeah,
just-
let's skip Festers and we'll come back.
I
and
am
I'll have
okay
it for
with
you.
skipping Festers.
Oh, come on. It's such a great game.
Okay, well, let's do the next one then, which is Final Fantasy 13-2. This is cool because I haven't seen him running this in a bit. But I think I don't want to speak for him purely, but I'm gonna and say that I think the relay is kind of encouraging people to get back into stuff. The upcoming 13 relay, which I believe is in May. But this is J for Mont with a 249.30 on the PC version of 13.2. This is finally the hunt for sub 250 is over. Good execution and stellar early game RNG. Endgame tried to troll and take the run again, but patience prevailed. Sub 247 is reasonably possible with another with first try monster recruitments. That will be it for the game for a while. So this one, it's a pretty good run. Honestly, it's short. It's like 13 in many ways. You have, as I recall, Kichu is the monster, and I can't remember what the other one is, but you might see Kichu in a bit in this video. It's not the bird. It's the other one, but it sort of just wrecks everything for some reason, and I don't remember why. And I did know, and I forgot. But his Kichu, you can see it. Well, you probably can't see it, but it's like a little ball thing. Looks like it's probably a Pokemon, and for some reason it just crushes enemies. I don't know if it's solely Kichu that does it, or if it's a combination of him buffing or something, but for some reason Kichu, the tiny little fluffy ball plant thing, there you go, you can see it now. Yeah, just, I don't know, dude, he just kills everything. Triple Bahamut gods, no match for Kichu. So, you can see him in the corner here. He's the plant ball. He's like a pink ball. This is Caius. Meant to be super powerful, but Kichu doesn't give a shit. That's one of my favorite things about the whole 13 series and their speedruns is Kichu being so godlike. Oh my goodness. There you go. Good job, Jfamon. I'm glad to see 13.2 being run again. I'm gonna flip the page because I forgot. And yeah, good job. Glad to see it. Looking forward to the relay. I do know the dates for the relay. It's the 9th of May. Will be that 13 relay if you're interested in the 13 series.
What relay is this?
It's the Final Fantasy 13 relay. So it's 13, 13.2, and Lightning Returns in a race 3-way relay. There's also
I didn't even know that there were 3 entries to that series.
Well, yeah, there are. I didn't know that there were 2 Bionic Commando rearmed, so
You shouldn't have known that.
we'll say
There
we're
shouldn't
sharing.
be 2.
There will also, to get excitement out there, be a Final Fantasy relay at some point too. I don't know when that is, but we'll keep you posted. That'll be main series 1 to 13, excluding 11, will be a thing. So there you go.
Can I steal this next one?
Yeah, absolutely, you should. Let's go. Let's do
Yeah.
it.
Okay, so next up we've got Fire and Ice, which is one of my favorite. I really, really like puzzle platformers, and Fire and Ice really does it well, especially for how early in gaming history it is. It just really is a really solid puzzle platformer, minus the jumping. So we've got here an any percent by a PLD in 107.55. He comments, I learned the game because A, it's an awesome game and everyone should play it, and B, I wanted de-dust, I'm guessing I wanted to de-rust, and train my memory a bit. I am playing the US version because unlike the Japanese version, it has no rewind function, and I figured it would be more impressive to do a rewindless or clean run. Also, 2 stages are shorter in the US version, the 4-3 and the final boss. Shoutouts and many thanks to Randall for the tasks, and greetings to Megara and Cartina Cow, aka Cart and a Cow. Oh, that's how that's said? I didn't
Is that-
even remember.
No, I thought it was Is it not Cartina? It's written
That's
Cartina.
how I've always said it.
Huh.
Well, it's also written Cart and a Cow, and that makes more sense.
Yeah.
That
But-
does also
I'll
make
have to
sense.
interrogate him.
That does also make
But
sense.
yeah, I mean, Fire and Ice is a really solid game. It's interesting to me, honestly, as a speedrun, because the movement of the game is kind of so rigid that I feel like you could really, really push it to be really close to the task. I just looked it up beforehand. The task time of this game is 63:26. That time is 107:55. So I'm really wondering just how close to the task this game can get.
Right, and a lot of that is because of the fact that there aren't really a bunch of different ways to do the levels.
Yeah.
I mean, games like Lolo, there's all kinds of alternative ways of doing the puzzle. In this, you got to figure out the puzzle, and then there's really just one way to do it most of the time. I mean, there are a few things that that are not quite the intended route, but they were pretty solid in the way they programmed it. I guess just because the movement is so limited anyway, there's not really a lot of things you can do.
Looks pretty fun.
It is a lot of fun. This is a fun game. It's not super hard. I wouldn't say it gets as difficult as the Lolo games get. I think it sort of tops off a little bit before there. So it's decent as a blind race, but it is a very long game.
Nice. Yeah, that is
assuming
quite
you
long
can't
for an
make
hour.
Oh.
I'm assuming you can't put blocks just on their own. They have to be touching a surface.
Right. Yeah. You can make ice, but only if it's attached to something else.
Well, it's like you can make ice, but it has to be down to the right of you or down to the left. So
Yeah.
it has to be, you have to be able to stand on something to make the ice.
Right, and it can't just be the midair that you make the ice, though, right?
Yeah.
It has to be attached to something
Yeah.
one way or the other.
Well-
But then you can break the ice off and detach it by making a long pillar of it, and then a long row of
Yeah.
it, and removing the edge of it.
Like in Solomon's Key, which is, I'm assuming this is the sequel to it.
It
Yeah,
is, yes.
You can stand on the very edge of a platform and then make the block 2 tiles away. I'm
Yeah,
assuming
you
they-
can't do that here.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's not even. It's like your movement is in a
It's
grid. Like
gridded, yeah.
If you
Oh, it
tap
is.
right,
You're
yeah. If you
firmly
tap
locked.
right, then
Okay.
you go a square to the right.
All right.
Right, which is one of the reasons why there aren't little weird workarounds, because the movement is so restricted. You really have
Yeah.
a pretty limited number of things you can do.
We should be good on that Festus Quest Try 2.
Yeah, let's do Festers.
Let's
One quick clarification as well. Cyberdemon at some point said, back to Doom, speed actually doesn't affect punching damage. He
It
said.
doesn't?
It's just-
Come on, really?
Yeah.
I feel
I
like
always
that's
thought it
part of your childhood ruined right there.
I know. I always thought that it did. I always used to try to hit him
It's like I was so worried
just
when Pokemon was on the show that they would say actually pressing B and down
Yeah.
doesn't do
Yeah.
anything, or B and up actually is where I was. I do like
Oh, sorry, we're having internet connection issues.
the regional Pokemon rumors. Okay, let's see if Festus Quest video works. It does again. There we go. All right. So Feasel, because you fixed the video and no one else wants to talk about Festus Quest,
Why not? This is a great game.
go for it anyway.
Okay, so Fester's Quest. We've got 2 runs of Fester's Quest by Zaki. The any percent run is done in 21:43. That's the run that uses the key glitch to avoid fighting the bosses. So his comment here is, after finally looking into the item drop order, I was able to work out a manipulation that made my item grinding session more efficient. As a result, I saved over a minute over the last any percent run with the old grinding strat. The new grinding even means that gun downgrades are actually useful, as they are needed to manipulate the drop order, and I keep as a much lower level gun power throughout the entire run. I had the usual minor mistakes here and there, and some menuing issues late in the game, but an excellent first item grind and a good UFO.
Okay, you're not messing with me. Sometimes the game doesn't look like this, right?
Sometimes it doesn't look like this.
Like, sometimes it's in a platformer or something?
No, it's always overhead, either outside or in the sewers, and then there's like
the
a
other
first
game
person.
then I'm thinking of?
Pugsley's Charlie
No,
Brown
not that
Race.
one, the other one.
Blaster Master?
No!
Yep.
Right.
I
Super
swear,
Mario 2?
Fester's Quest was the one that I keep confusing for the one that looks like Charlie Brown.
Let's see. That's Adam's Family.
Adam's
Pugsley's
Family.
Scavenger
How are there so many Adam's Family games?
There's a lot of them. Oh, there's also NES Adams Family, which is a platformer.
Why are
Okay.
there so many?
But you play as the guy
Oh
Gomez. Is that
Jesus!
his
name?
Look at this. Why? Oh my God.
Oh yeah, I love this
played,
first person.
I played SNES Adams Family. That game, if you don't like use the secret one-ups, that game is really, really hard.
You talking about Pugsley's Scavenger Hunt?
No,
Pugsley's-
no, normal.
There's another one.
Oh, yeah, the other one. That one's impossible.
There's that Game Boy one, isn't there, as well? That's like 2 minutes long or something.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
that's the Bangara special.
favorite.
Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Was it Nez Karkazi who ran it as well? I want to say.
Nope, just Bangara and maybe Bangara's alt.
Bangara's
Alright,
fake
we'll be-
girlfriend. We all know about that one.
Yeah.
Okay, so the glitchless run is 26:33. Comment there is, Zaki says, the reason this run was the reason I looked into item drops in the first place. I was very unhappy with the drop grinding and wanted to find drop manipulation to make the grind more efficient. It worked out quite well, and despite the fact that I messed it up towards the end, I still managed to improve by a little more than a minute over my previous run. Now I just need to not mess up that manipulation and get the boss fights right. So this is the same kind of run, except you can't just use the glitch to avoid the bosses. You actually fight the bosses. Other than that, it's the
boring.
same.
Fighting the bosses.
Well, yeah, but it does mean you gotta actually care about your gun power and, you know.
Did
be able to
okay?
fight.
Did Zaki submit the other Adams Family game as well?
No.
Is that why I'm getting confused?
Oh wait, I can't. I don't think that he did.
Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Alright, fine. I got no excuse then. Alright,
He
next.
submitted that Cyber.
No, that game
whatever,
doesn't
that one
exist.
game.
That game does not exist. Can't have flashbacks to Robo Demons, I think it's called.
Robo Demons.
Is that what it's called? It's horrifying anyway. Alright, now, we got Floating Runner. This is PS1, 90%, 1452 by Caveman DCJ. There's a new interest in the game, inspired me to make the run better. Still beatable, notable mistakes include not being perfect. Have noticed that Spider, the video game, has got another runner, I think I saw. And I think some people also submitted it to SGDQ more than
Yep.
just Caveman, so
Yes, they did.
Spider the video game is coming, the 8 legs of Spider speed gaming. 8-way Spider the video game run at SGDQ, please.
Yes.
Please, alright. Right, we got Gargoyle's Quest. I feel like I should get this one to PJ.
Okay.
And
yeah, I'll take this.
I'm gonna.
It's a
Yeah.
goodie.
This is Gargoyle's Quest, Japanese version, 80% in 2724 by Unusual Cook. He says, I finally decided to run a non-meme game, and we appreciate it because this game's awesome.
This is an excellent game. I am so glad to see it getting some speedrun attention now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, you play as Firebrand, if you haven't guessed, from
Yeah.
the Ghosts and Goblins series.
This rendition of the Ghosts and Goblins song on Game Boy chip is fantastic.
Yeah.
They did
This
it.
game is super fun. Probably my favorite Game Boy game. I love this
really?
thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I want to say we got some submissions of this for ESA as well.
Nice.
I don't
Is
want
this
to.
the one that has,
I want to say 2 people submitted this.
This is the one with the random encounters. Is that right?
There are random encounters.
What's the other Fireman game?
There's
Royal's
some
Quest 2
NES.
and
Yeah.
Demon's Crest.
Demon's Crest is the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Right.
This
There's
looks
also an
great.
NES game, Gargoyle's Quest 2, which is very much like this, except on the NES. Also an interesting game.
Dude, I wish I had this as a kid now. This looks fantastic.
Is this the one that's crazy expensive, or is that 2?
I think that's 2.
Yeah, this is not too bad.
Okay.
2 was really late for the NES, I believe.
I like it. I'm just enjoying the music. It is honestly a really good version of the song for GBA. They actually cared, it sounds like.
Or original Game Boy.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, yeah. I don't know why I said A. No idea. It's clearly an original Game Boy game. I mean, look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you're Canadian. You're saying
It
it's
feels-
good for GB, eh?
It's good for GBA. Yeah.
These falling sequences where he just falls really far and then just like taps hover seems like it could be really, really tight, like to just barely fit in these narrow corridors from a full speed of
Yeah.
falling.
Yeah, and you don't get to see much ahead of you when you're falling
Yeah.
on a Game
No.
Boy game.
We're glad to see that after your way too long of running whatever on earth that Shrek game was last week, that you focus your attention elsewhere. We're very glad to see it, Cook. Was it Shrek Fairy Tale Fight Freak Down? Or something like that.
Oh, God. Yeah,
Yeah.
that thing.
You replaced it with this,
Yeah.
so good
Creepy
job.
donkey face to this.
Yeah, creepy donkey face to rather nice, cool-looking Firebrand. The fat Firebrand filling that Mario 2 sprite.
Yes.
Mario Land 2 sprite. Gotta fit a square. Alright, we got Hyrule Warriors. I'm gonna grab this one just because. Did you pick music for this? Oh no, it's got game audio, okay. Don't want to hear that song from last week. Anyway, this is Hyrule Warriors, an any percent new game co-op easy 30832 by Author Blues and Sky Bills. Can we call them Sky Blues or Author Bills from now on? Just save time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Alright.
What do we want?
Well,
Sky
figure that
Blues
one out.
this week.
Sky Blues. Sky Blues sounds cool. It sounds like a Sonic stage.
But
Or,
that's an actual color. And
Oh shit, it is. You're right.
Author Bills is just...
Author Bills.
Sky Blues, I like. Anyway, that clip was much shorter than I was expecting. I didn't have time to waffle.
It was just long enough to read the text. if
Yeah,
we
it
had
was.
been
It
actually
would have
doing
been,
that.
yeah. But anyway, so this one was a pretty huge. Don't worry, I'll do it on the next the next time, the next set. So this run was a pretty huge improvement over our previous PBs. We had somewhat good RNG, and most missions went very smoothly. Sub 305 is pretty possible with more good RNG and gameplay, but not sure how realistic it would be to get below 3 hours, as there were only as there were only about 1 to 2 minutes of specific mistakes that can be fixed. We are now beginning to work on Co-op New Game Plus, which we will submit once we improve our times. It's weird to go to New Game Plus afterwards, but I guess you'll be playing a higher difficulty, I imagine. Maybe? Question mark. Okie doke. Now, Blechy, we're going to have this one to you. We got some basic maths here for you. If you want to roll with this one.
So, 1 second. We do the math, carry the 2. We got Kingdom Hearts 179 days for the DS.
That's right.
Any percent, so 2 different runs. The first is Any Percent Proud JP by Trezerk in 40809. Comments, the JP version of Days is twice as hard as the NA version, due to the fact that every enemy has twice as much health and damage paired with the fact that you need to be in critical health to do damage in both versions. The run is beatable with 26 deaths, but that is a fairly tame amount of deaths given the difficulty of the game, so it'll still be hard to improve. Highlighted is I can't prevent it's cracking me up. 26 deaths.
Yeah.
Highlighted is Infernal Engine, which uses the same RNG manipulation as the NA version, based on your current stats and your movement pattern prior to killing the little dudes, to ensure 3 ram attacks in 1 cycle. I'm not too familiar with the game. It's always something I'm interested in.
I just love that
Route mode is the highest difficulty.
not
It's pretty
only is
insane.
it twice as hard as the NA versions, with enemies taking twice as long to kill, and you take twice as much damage, but you have to be at like no health the whole time
Yeah.
to do it. Like, it's just hilarious. Like, well, they just like, yeah, that'll be fine. They'll be able to do it.
So he says it's possible with 26. So he didn't list a count of how many deaths he has in this one.
Alright.
But if it's in the high 20s, is that the highest amount of deaths for any record? For any like expected?
I would say not with
there's
like,
probably Super Meat
not
Boy
with like
runs
Meat
with-
Boy and
Oh, that's
stuff like that. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to diss the
No.
run at all because I'm not familiar with it. But it's just funny that a speedrun of a game would
we
kind of
we get
require
that
that.
all the time. It's pretty fun.
Battletoads and Double Dragon SNES run has something like 12 intentional suicides. It's only a 20-minute platform.
We did have one guy who said that with like 17 unintentional deaths, there is room for some improvement, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Oh, there was one that was this run is perfect. Died 4 times.
yeah, I remember that guy. Oh yeah, that was a long time ago. Yeah,
Yeah, that was my favorite.
yeah. All right, you can do the
So I guess,
second one. Yeah.
I'll crank out the other one too. So we just talked about any percent proud JP. We also have any percent standard by Drizerk in 3:49:25. Comments: for those who know nothing about this game, it's basically a mix between Tetris, Metal Gear Solid, and Final Fantasy using a combat system similar to the original Kingdom Hearts. I beat Gone Now's time by nearly 2 hours, only dying 8 times, which is pretty much a perfect run. There you go.
Yeah, there it is again.
Might come back to this, but want to practice the NA version so my muscle memory isn't
How is
ruined.
the version that's proud Japanese super difficult only like less than 20 minutes slower?
Cause
Yeah.
That's what I want to know. That's what I want to
Good
know.
question.
Yeah. Anyway, what did I do? I did something wrong. Hopefully nothing broke. Let's just pretend it didn't and move on. We got Mega Man ZX Advent DS, any percent easy in 1 hour and 8 seconds by Peter Afro, who says it's a 58:39 in game. It's getting the Queen Bee silver medal due to RNG and being dumb on Albert's first phase cost the sub hour, but whatever. There we go. And we go, oh yeah, this one, I know about this. Beatrix, General Beatrix improved his Metal Gear Rising time. New game plus hard to 54:26. He says, that feel when I will never break the void, the hold this shitty game has on me. His words, not mine. He said to me, well, he in the Platinum group, he said like, he said, don't ask why I'm playing this, but I improved my Rising time, and all of us knew that he was probably playing it anyway. Doesn't matter. A few people have got sub 1 hour now, and part of his motivation was just wanting to crush their dreams, but he wasn't fully happy with the last run. His second half of the game wasn't quite good enough, so he's happier now, but whether he's happy is another question. Knowing Beatrix, probably never happy.
yeah, we'll see this in a few weeks.
Yeah, we'll see it soonish. Okay, we have a Mike Tyson one. I don't know who of you wants this one, but it's out there.
I'll take this one.
Alright, there you go.
It's a good one.
Yeah, this is MTPO. The IL table by Zallard1, of course, in 14:05.3. He says, after a long time going after individual levels in Mike Tyson's Punch-Out, I finally got to the point where I either tied or had beaten every previous world record in the game. It's pretty ridiculous. He says it took a lot of attempts for so many of these fights due to needing absurd execution, incredible luck, or in most cases both. The most recent ILs that I've gotten in the playlist were Piston Honda 2, Bald Ball 2, Mr. Sandman, and Don Flamenco 2. His favorite fights are probably the final 3, Mr. Sandman, Super Macho Man, and Mike Tyson. I gotta thank Sinister, McHazard, Jack Wedge, and many others who helped out with this, even if it was just encouragement. Yeah, Zallard has been just on fire with this game.
Any
It's
boxing
incredible,
game,
really.
really. If he box in it, he's gonna crush it.
Yeah. Yeah, he got the single segment record like a while ago and then started going after the ILs again and was just like...
Well, he's in that
Tearing.
endless cycle, you know that. He's going for that single segment again now. Now he knows he can do the IL.
Right, yeah. Yeah, It's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, this game has a really, really long history of speedrunning and godly times.
Yeah.
And for a long time, they would talk about Matt Turk's times as being like the end goal. You know, you could eventually reach that. That's like the upper limit. But you know, there's no video or whatever, so just take the time for what it's worth. And now it's like, oh yeah, by the way, I have all of the IL.
All right. While we're talking about him going on a sort of killing spree and taking all these records, it actually leads into Rambo so well that I don't have to even move. So I'm just going to give this one to Blechy for Rambo.
Sure.
If you want the satire, or satyr, I don't know how you meant to say it, running through throwing knives at people, which is what I think when I see it. But it really just looks like he has a lower half of a goat as his body, and I can swear I can see a few horns sticking out.
That's true. The headband is a little bit like
Yeah.
a horn. Second.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. Go for it, Blechy.
Yeah, so this is Rambo for the NES. The run was all bosses, and 2619 by Zaki the Goat Dragon. He says, employing some new boss strategies, a strategy of plow through any randomness that doesn't go my way, and with some really good luck in this run, I saved 43 seconds over my previous best. I also managed a reasonably good fight on the final boss, the Flying Fortress. Is that what we're seeing now?
I would guess so, yeah.
Considering how awful the fight is, it is difficult to hit with a grenade, the only weapon that can damage it. It takes 40 grenades to destroy it. The soldier spawns you need for grenades are random, and the direction that the many mortars on the... Alright, we're confirmed. This is the Flying Fortress.
This is horrible.
And the direction that the many mortars on the screen are falling can change randomly mid-drop. Shoutouts to Ronin Wolf, who came up with most of the new strats I used in this run. Yeah, look at these mortars, man.
Look at this fight. I could just imagine drawing this in Mystery and just like going, like, just being furious about it. Like, how long that goes on. It's 40 grenades just endlessly throwing at them. And it's there's stuff everywhere. Like, what the hell are you meant to do? It doesn't even make sense. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
Why? Okay. Oh boy. Why? Now, okay, many of you were thinking a while back, hey, Sonic. Oh, I have to listen to the song. I forgot that I made the highlight video and chose the song, and now I have to listen to it again. Alright. So, many of you know Sonic 06 and its reputation. And many of you are probably like, oh wow, thank God there's a massive skip glitch, you don't have to play the full game anymore. But some people thought, you know what? Let's stop with the massive skip glitch and play without it. So this is Sonic 06, Sonic Story, no monosodium glutamate in 10144 by Triple Agent. He says, after months of grinding individual levels of this game, I finally took this record from Darkspine Sonic. No MSG is sort of like a no wrong warp category for Sonic Story, as there is this glitch that warps you to the credits, which skips over 80% of the game. In this run I died twice due to script errors, which cost me 30 seconds, yep. So I'll be doing attempts to improve this record on my Twitch. So, Sonic 06 is a game notoriously glitchy. I have to show this boss again. This is the final boss. Try and tell me when it takes damage and dies for you watching at home. Which is why this makes for a surprisingly good speed game. In the highlight you'll see the hilariously fast final boss quick kill, which ends the boss in only 20 seconds. Just watch this boss. Tell me when it takes damage and dies.
I'm not even sure what's happening.
Like, tell me.
Right.
Try and tell me what happened. Like, he never even touched it.
Did he just kick it through the sky and then...
I just don't... I don't know.
Alright.
Wow. Anyway. I just watched that highlight and I was like, I don't understand the boss. It just died. Anyway. We've also got then Lost Levels, Japanese, any percent in 1417 by Produx, who merely says hi.
Hi.
Hi, yeah.
Hello.
Is this
Hi.
taken from Big John? Or does someone else have it?
Well, no, Big John plays the NES version.
Oh, he plays the NES
or does he?
one.
He did run
No,
the SNES
he runs
version.
the
he did
SNES,
run
yeah.
the SNES version. Okay.
Yeah.
He runs both.
Yeah.
Then I guess maybe.
I don't know,
Yeah.
is this Mario? Is this Luigi?
It doesn't say.
only
It just
No, I'm
says.
looking
one
up.
of them?
It doesn't say in the
This is
thing.
nice.
Actually,
Don't
let me
ask
just
too
look
many
up.
questions, PJ.
Only there's a way to check.
Well, you could click the link.
Yeah,
Tell me.
I'm clicking. It's
Uh,
the circle's
see
turning.
anonymous
It's
llama.
Dweegi.
Dweegi, alright.
It's Dweegi.
Ah, it is
Dweegi,
Beach.
nice. Alright, then we have Mario Bros. 3, 100% in 1:11:02 by Karua. He says, this is my retirement run, and I'm really proud of it. That's right, Karua is stopping speedrunning, at least for a while. He's off on his own fun adventure that I'm slightly jealous of, not gonna lie. But off he goes, and I guess he'll maybe be around. I can't speak for him, but if he isn't, have fun, and if he is, don't have fun,
Yeah.
I guess.
Cool. All
Yeah.
right.
This
Yeah.
run deserves some serious talking about, though, because
Oh,
this is
go
a
for it.
ridiculous run. Like, looking at his splits, I pulled them up just to make sure I wasn't wrong here. But he's constantly green. He loses 0.2 seconds in World 3 and then 6 seconds in World 4. But besides that, he just gains time on every single split. His previous best was an 1:11:24, and this
Wow.
one is a 1:11:02. So I mean, he just really
Wow.
just shatters it. He really wanted this run before he went away, and it's just really, really awesome that he got such an insane run for his favorite category of his
Yeah.
chosen game. So
Nice.
really
Yeah,
awesome stuff.
That's really good. Well done.
Yeah,
Good luck on your adventures.
yeah. Still
Really
jealous.
nuts.
Still jealous of him. But anyway, finally then, another SMB. We got Monkey Ball. We were told the highlight would just be show all of Master, and I actually cut the last 2 stages because I didn't know how many videos we'd have. So this is basically all of Master. So we'll give this one to Feasel. Why not?
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Super Monkey Ball, this is PAL version for both of these runs. We have master difficulty at, or the master levels at 1546 by Callum He says, the fact that this run had 2 deaths speaks volumes about how tight my execution was during the run. Hope to match this level of execution with 0 deaths in the future, which should hopefully yield a low 1530 something.
Oh my god.
Yes, insane to watch.
Yeah.
We've also got an expert run, also by Callum Ball, in 1036. He says, for the strats I use, this is a solid time. There are little time savers here and there with more optimized movement, but otherwise, I'm happy with this run.
Yeah. It's really good.
Yeah, it's no kidding. Yeah, I forget what. Did Miles have this before, or did Bar beat
I think
Miles?
Bar had it before. I couldn't
remember.
say it confidently now. I want to say Bar had it, or maybe even someone else beforehand. But yeah,
But they don't know.
They don't know.
He dropped the time by like a lot,
yeah,
like not just a second or 2. Like I think almost 20.
it's really good.
I think.
It was Miles.
There we
before.
go. Miles
was
had it with a
Miles.
1609.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so over 20 seconds off, and still with deaths. Like,
Dude,
yeah,
that's
Kel is
cool.
Kel is a monster.
I've not seen that swipe before. And then it ends with 8. You've all seen 9 before. There's always 9 happens.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah, there's.
Very well done. That's our records there as well. Some nice ones. Oh wait, I was meant to do this more slowly. Someone complained before that they can't read the whole page in a few frames.
Yeah, I usually go 10 seconds per page.
Oh boy, I'll do that then.
Flipping through them.
Alrighty, hey, that was the show, right there.
That was the show.
You did it.
Well, a chunk of it anyway. Now we got to do our wrap up stuff. First wrap up thing, we're gonna send our hosts, whatever we are called, to go find a raid target.
It's the Southern Speedruns.
Oh, that's
is
alright.
going
I've
on
already
still,
got
isn't
one.
it?
Fantabulous.
Oh,
Then we can battle it out.
We just need something about the Love Boat. Is
Oh
the
yeah,
only other
that
thing that's
should be
missing.
it. I've already got a love boat in the top up there. You can make a Love Boat base raid message. We'll get to that in a mo.
It's so swish.
Love Boat is so swish.
Right. We'd like to thank Blechy for being on the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we'd like to thank Charlie who would be on the show. We hope you get well soon. Kick that fever because of the illness. As we mentioned at the beginning of the show, you get fever when you're ill. Submit your games to SGDQ if you haven't. I'm not sure who out there is getting SGDQ news from us at this point, but we'll mention it anyway. Go do that. If you wanted to submit a game to ESA, you're too late, and yes, I will reject anyone over the deadline. You guys had 6 weeks. That's my response to that one. Anything else? Was there something I was meant to mention otherwise? Next week,
The Chariot speedrunning competition is still going on.
It's still going. They tweeted us.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, they tweeted SGL.
Right, they did.
They tweeted SGL. Which, on that account, you should follow not only us at TSS Break, but also, is it at Speed Gaming Show?
Speed Gaming Show, yeah.
Yeah, for SGL news. When's the next SGL, Fiesel? Next Saturday?
It is coming up this next Saturday.
Lovely. There you go. What's it going to be? Do you know? Well, you know,
it's
but they know?
The game has been decided, but I'm going to make sure that the players know before I tell everyone else.
Right, that's fair enough.
Okay. I'll tweet it to the yeah. I'll tweet it before long. I'll tweet what it is.
So follow them. I had something else, but I forgot it because I was reminded by other things I was meant to talk about. Oh, next week. Next weekend, maybe Dust Force.
Well, yeah,
no,
it's not confirmed. We know that 2 weeks from now is when we're going to do Kaizo.
Yes, 2 weeks.
And we do have a Dust Force episode coming up for you.
Now it'll be maybe next weekend, maybe 3 weeks from now. If it's not next
3 weeks from now,
perhaps after
Easter.
Is 3 weeks from now? No, 2 weeks from now is Easter.
2 weeks is Easter.
Yeah.
Kaizo's on Easter?
Kaizo's
I guess so.
Yeah, those, yes.
Everyone will be back from their dinners. They'll be gorged on.
Do you guys have Easter dinner in America? You have like
Yeah,
a
we don't
Easter
eat dinner
dinner?
on Easter.
You just skip
Well, you
it.
don't just not eat dinner?
Yeah,
No.
we do. We skip it.
We don't have a special dinner for Easter though. We have days off and great, but weird. Okay.
So you
I
have
won't.
days off, but you don't have a special dinner?
No, why would we
What
have
do
a
you do
special
with all
dinner?
your time off?
Drink.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Well, I mean, people do drink and they watch TV and they also eat dinner together.
Is it like
No,
mini
you can't
Christmas
do anything
in
if you're
America?
drinking. You can just, that's it.
The TV could be on and the food can be there, but yeah. Anyway,
You're not allowed to watch or eat.
the guests should be Dram and Sagan. I unfortunately will not be there. I will be in Scotland, which is not as interesting as being here for Kaizo, but it's not my fault. I blame Dram and Sagan for not being available on the dates that I would be there, but hey ho. So maybe Dust Force next week, maybe later. If not, other things. We have a few ideas. I can't remember what they are right now, but they're there. We have them. Trust us. Come on,
Yeah,
guys.
trust
You don't
us,
have to
we've got
ask.
ideas.
Don't
We
worry.
got something big in the works.
Well, don't promise anything. I believe we're done then. I'm really making sure. Oh, I need to depress the split for that
The
one.
only other thing I'll toss out
Yeah.
there is Mystery Tournament is still going on.
Mystery tournament.
It's beyond too late to join it. There's several rounds in. But, I mean, if you're looking for fun races to do, then swing by Hash Mystery on the IRC
Yeah.
and join in. They're usually like at this point, a lot of people have been knocked out, but they're usually like 2 or 3 matches per night going on. So if you're just looking for something to race, check it out.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I very much enjoyed watching Eminem's Shell Shocked, which was Asga and Dark Terex, because I was watching it and just thinking, man, if I drew a PS1 game in history, I would still be in. Apparently, no one played Crash Bandicoot as a kid because everyone sucked at M&M's.
I somehow missed that one as well.
Oh.
I don't know how.
What, Crash Bandicoot or the M&M's?
Yeah, Crash.
Wow,
Crash.
how? You did play it since
don't
then,
know.
right?
Very briefly, but
Oh
not
my
much.
goodness. No
Yeah, he
excuse.
played the GBA.
The GBA Crash. Nice. Yeah, I watched them try and play Eminem Shell Shocked, and I admit I chuckled at how long it took them. So, Nice. Hey, I think we're done then. We're going to play some ads at the end of the show. If you want to watch 3 minutes of ads. We do have our sub button and that, but as we have advised, you don't actually get anything except for the smug satisfaction of knowing that you're supporting the show. All of your money will immediately go on the server space for the website. So,
or we're going to invest in chocolate, and by invest, I mean we're going to buy a bunch of it and then eat it on Easter.
Dude, okay. You guys should
That's our
definitely
special dinner.
subscribe right now, all of you, and we'll do that chocolate thing.
Okay.
That is a
Sold.
nice sales pitch.
So that's how streamers do it. I've been watching some streams, and that's what they do. So there you go. Thanks for watching. Thanks again to Blechy. Commiserations to Charlie on who couldn't be here. And we'll see you next weekend for something.
Something awesome.
Yeah.
Oh,
Woo. And we'll see you then. Good. Hang on. Wait. Let me
Go check out the
prep- yeah.
Southern Speedrun Summit.
Oh yeah. Go raid them now with the raid message. Something.
Type it in there. Type it in there.
I can't think of anything. You go for it.
Love boat is so swish.
There you go. Type it out. Let's rock and roll and
The Sunday Sequence Break.